Hello, Chaitanya. Your voice is not enabled. Huh.
Can you hear me?
Yes, 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 Chaitanya. Hi.
Yes. Great. Hello, sir. How are you?
Fine. So, finally,
Yeah, it's been so long.
I hope it's not troublesome for you to prepare and
Oh,
because
not at all. Like if I can be of some help, and if something I tell will help someone, then that's really a good thing. So I'm
good.
really happy that you actually sent me the invitation.
Oh, you actually were mentioning about some deadlines. I hope it didn't disturb much.
No. It was fine. Like I am, like generally in PhD, it's like I'm pretty sure you must be knowing it. Like there are a lot of things which come up. So it's
Hmm.
yeah.
Okay,
So that was never a problem.
nice, good, great. So I'll just share you our registration just
Mhm.
for your information, how many have responded and what is the kind of expectations that they have laid. Actually, I thought of sending you this, but as you know, last minute registrations were plenty.
That's nice.
You're able to see my screen now.
Yes, I can see.
So we got 56 responses and
Hmm.
like 21 from final year, 21 from third year, 14 from second year. And like I said, this is the first of its kind. They are one is they are in lockdown, so I'm not sure how far they have reached the intention behind. And
Hmm.
if you see, I asked this question: what is your expectation from this interaction? So as you see, some say MS, further education, experiences, interaction with alumni, how to speak English fluently, what is to know the skills required for pursuing higher education, improving
Hmm.
technical skills, suggestions for future career after BTech, interaction. I can get the structure about what should I learn in order to reach my goal. MS,
I prepared my presentation in such a way that obviously it's going to focus more on higher education and then further studies, but I tried to make it in a very general sense. So I'll probably be able to answer them in a general questions, but in case if they have after the presentation, they can always ask me specifically.
yeah,
So
we give. In fact, I've mentioned those things uh, in the norms and all. So, so pretty much, I think that should serve purpose. So,
mhm.
hello, sir. Good morning. Uh, your war. Okay.
Uh, no. Yeah, it was in mute. Okay, good morning.
Hello, sir. Good morning.
Yeah, good morning. So it's started early.
No, no, sir. Just we are setting the screen.
Um,
Sir.
yeah,
Setting.
yeah, yeah. Please go ahead.
Yeah. So, as you can see, Chaitanya, it may be 56, but I'm sure many will be last minute joinees. And
Mhm.
I'm already recording this. So,
Mhm.
I'm sure this will help them in at least addressing few of their queries. And another thing is, I wanted to have this connect between alumni and the students. So,
Mhm.
we have also prepared this student feedback. I'll just show you in that so that in future, if there is any similar type of skills, like suppose they may be interested in you are more into CFD, right? So if
Mhm.
they need any of the sessions and if you are also available, we can
Mhm.
set even the CFD related such sessions.
Oh,
So
definitely.
yeah. So this is after our session, we will be posing this feedback. Uh,
Mhm.
I'll keep this. So career selection, curriculum inline, reaching out so that you will be available for them. So this is how we have planned as of now. But I think in the next thing, what is missing, what I feel is missing, is any element of personal questionnaire which can be in the form of your presentations. Like during the presentation, you may be asking something like, can you name one of the skill set that he mentioned? And then that shows that he is eager or he's engaged, basically. So for the next time, we are planning to ask the speaker himself to pose 1 or 2 questions, so that feedback is complete in terms of engagement also. That's what I felt.
Right.
But I don't think it's possible now. So
I mean, it's a good start, so we can always build on it.
Yeah. This is what we have planned so far.
It's really nice.
Let's hope students get benefited. That's the main thing. Oh, Sandeep is available. I didn't see. 12 are already participating. Okay. Okay.
Sir, you were asking some question. I couldn't get the last part.
Oh, what we thought of doing is like we for the engagement part, speaker himself, when he's presenting or when he's interacting, he may pre-plan and say these will be the questions that I'll ask after the session, so that during the feedback it completes the loop, and we can also see how many are really engaged. So I wanted to have 2 questions in the feedback.
Okay.
As of now, this is something which is not being implemented. We'll do it for the other thing.
Okay.
Okay. We'll wait for a couple of minutes and then we'll start.
Yes, no problem.
What time is it now, Chaitanya, there? 12?
No, for me it's 9:30 p.m. Like I am in California right now.
Oh.
But normally, yes, in Michigan it is like 3 hours ahead, so 12:30.
12:30. That's what you in Michigan. I didn't know that you are in California now. Okay.
I mean, I came here, but then because of lockdown, now I'm just here.
Oh.
Good morning, Chaitanya.
Good morning, sir.
Yeah. So your research area, that is multi-tray gravity flow of fluid or something. What is that multi-tray?
That was my master thesis, but for my PhD, like I am into turbulent flows and rough surfaces and numerical simulations of those.
Okay. So masters, yeah. Because I had worked on bulk solids handling. It's pneumatic and hydraulic transportation of solids, 2-phase flow.
Nice.
Yeah. So I thought that fluid flow through gravity means something related. Okay. So now you are working on simulations of turbulent flow in rough surfaces. Okay.
Yes.
Very good. So
thank you.
Nice talking to you, and it's great that you wanted to share your experiences and give direction to your alma mater. Yeah.
I mean, I'm really happy to share them. If it's going to help someone, then I'm really happy with that.
Definitely. Yeah. Even just a small group get inspired, so they might pursue their higher studies and also plan their career. So what happens is up to 2nd year or 3rd year, they don't plan well in advance. So now, at least by listening to those who have traveled this path and then gone somewhere, so they can guide them in choosing the right path and going in the so once the path is clear and the direction is there, quickly they can reach with the available resources, whatever they have, the time and the effort, others. Yeah,
Yes, yes, definitely.
yeah, very good.
Let me also introduce Sandeep to you, Chaitanya. I hope you have passed out the 16, so I think you might have not seen. Sandeep, hello.
Um,
Sandeep.
Hello.
So we both have initiated this session, and yeah, Sandeep is live now. So
Hi, Chaitanya.
Hello, sir. How are you?
I'm fine. So it might be that you have not seen me. Just I joined after your batch was completed, it seems. So yours
Yeah.
was 2016 batch, right?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, okay. So I heard much about you from Varun, sir.
Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, so it was a small initiation which we actually wanted to start. Like
No, I was
reach out.
telling it to Varun sir before. Like, I'm really happy that you sent the invitation.
Yeah.
It's been very long. I actually connected with this. So,
Mhm.
like,
Yeah.
so this
No,
is a nice start.
Yeah, because as a student, always there is a doubt in mind, right? So usually we hear of from the industry or from outside that teach means what we get education in the classrooms and in the institutes is much different than outside.
Mhm.
Right? So the main intention was how can we bridge this, or how can we make them aware of? At least we can't provide them complete insight of the industry or how the outside world is, but still if you can bridge somewhere that so that they can have some mental idea preparation also. Because what is happening is, Chaitanya, once a year, if you see in the institutes, they are like pampered a bit more, and once they get into the industry also, they are not actually physically and mentally prepared to face the industry. Right? So most probably what we are looking at means what we hear is most of them like they are not able to sustain the industry pressures outside and they come back. Right? So and they're trying to find out the easiest path. But actually what we see is the education institutes are actually the easiest path. Right? So that was the whole idea behind getting into this.
Well, I'll try my level best to try to help in bridging that. But yeah,
Yeah. No, actually, see, that is what, see, success and failure both are as a part, right? So, whatever we give them as an input, they should take it, right? They should grab it from using both hands, right? So, they should know all, right? Success and apart from that, failure stories also they should know basically because they can learn from them, right? Because each and every time if they learn only success stories, they don't know what actually failure is.
I completely agree with that. Yes.
okay, so for 30 participants,
Mhm.
and
We can wait for a couple of more minutes. Like, I am okay with it if everyone else is okay with that.
yeah, I think within 2-3 minutes, I think majority will be joining. I've shared the message also through WhatsApp. So let's hope.
Yeah.
Yeah, no problem from my side.
So how is the situation there in the meantime, Chaitanya?
Some states it's actually reducing, so it has crossed its peak, so it's kind of getting better. And more than half of the states they're trying to reopen slowly.
Oh,
So my guess is probably in another month or two it should be better. But many companies, like especially in software, they're giving work from home till the end of the year.
oh,
Like some of the companies we heard in news that they declared it. So I think that probably will become a kind of a trend for this year.
maybe. I think TCS has already announced that in India, but
Yeah. The central government also up to end of July, I think they are
hmm.
planning to give work from home for companies.
Okay. But I
Because
still think
for
India did a really good job in controlling and stopping it from spreading very fast.
correct. Yeah.
Yeah, because for such a population we have, then it's really a wonderful job to control it to that level. So that is really nice.
Yeah, to some extent, yes, lockdown is a that we need to. 36 and still counting. Maybe Sunday effect.
Yeah, I'm actually like really like it's good that these many people have joined on a Sunday morning.
Most of them they are already used to now. It's been 1.5 months now.
So like, how is the teaching going on? Like, are you taking online classes or?
Yeah, it was in the during end session we had this difficulty. So by that time, maximum of the portion was complete. Only one unit or two units were left out. So we scheduled it, and through Zoom sessions, we recorded videos and assessment through online one-on-one assessment. Even labs we have conducted in the same way. Finally, reviews we have conducted. So now we also got used to. Students got used to. That's why we thought of shifting to Microsoft Teams, but in the NAS, we thought we may not make everyone install that in the last minute. So again, we shift back to Zoom because this is frequently being used by faculty and students.
Yes, it's like very common here to use Zoom. So even my meeting with my advisor happens on Zoom itself. So.
But we've procured this Microsoft Teams, and it integrates like LMS into our regular schedule. So many things are possible in Microsoft Teams. So we are in migrating sort of.
Yeah, for next academic year, we might migrate this.
That looks like a very interesting software.
So 46. So can we shall we start now or 46?
Yeah, you can go ahead. Now the time is 10, 7, 10, 5. So another. In the meantime, we can introduce. Okay, and formal beginning. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Please.
Yes.
Just a second. Okay. Good morning, everyone. This is Dr. A. Varun and myself, Associate Professor from the Department of Mechanical Engineering, and Dr. M. Sandeep Kumar. We both have started this new session on Reach Out, and this is from the Department of Mechanical Engineering, BVR 18 Asapur. So before we start, I just want to thank our HOD, Department of Mechanical Engineering, and the whole department for giving us this opportunity, and then for the students and faculty members who have joined here. And I want to hand over this to Sandeep in order to give opening talk on what is the intention behind of starting this Reach Out. Over to Sandeep.
Yeah, thank you, Varun. A very good morning to respected faculties and my dear students. Let me take this opportunity to present you regarding the Reach Out program. So let us know about these things first. So coming to BVRIT, as BVRIT as a commitment in technical education, right? Excellence in technical education through continual improvement and to provide responsible technocrats for effective nation building through imparting quality education and training, right? So having this in mind, we wanted to see how far we can go through this, and with COVID-19 as a part, which is a pandemic now at present. So we wanted to see how far we can go or what we can do so that you can be in a much greater positions, right? So then we started to think of, all right, so how would it work out? So for thinking out if we being in our professional provisions and thinking it was a bit difficult. So we had to think out as a student actually what you would be facing up. So when we thought of like that, then we came across that basically there is some gap between the industry and the academics what we are going through, right? So how to bridge this gap, or how to make you guys ready so that you go out and you don't feel any difficulty, right, to go and adjust with the coming up or the industrial revolutions which is coming up, or the industry, or what would be the expectations of the industry, right, when we get out of this, right? So with this, actually, we wanted to reach out. So with this platform, what we are doing is, right, it's actually a novel platform. So on this platform, what we want to try to do is, we want to integrate you guys, or we want to give you inputs from the alumni, industrial persons, and academicians to show up a path which would actually help you out to adjust with the coming up industry things, right? So I hope these sessions would be helpful for you, and you can go through or you can interact with our alumni or the industrial persons or academicians, right? So that you can get an insight actually how things are there outside the institutions, right? So I hope this sessions would be helpful for you guys. So please try to see that you get into these things, take it up as a personal interest, and see that you can get the maximum advantage of this kind of sessions. So you can get an actual input or actual insight of the outside world apart from our institutes, right? So now I request Dr. Varun for introducing our guest, Sai Chaitanya, who is our alumni. Varun, please introduce him.
Hi. So today's speaker is Mr. Chaitanya. We know him, faculty members all who have been teaching him. I think they all remember him as a bright student. That's what even I do remember. I know him personally because I was his guide. I take this opportunity to introduce Sai Chaitanya. So he was our alumni in the batch 12 2016, and to many of them, I don't know how many of you have gone through his profile, but he was a gold medalist in the academic mechanical engineering, and he secured college topper. Then after his BTech, he has pursued his master's from Arizona State University, and during which he has led many CFD projects, and he's also a math tutor. And he has completed this MS program in 2018, and after that, he joined as a research assistant, and now currently pursuing his PhD and from the Michigan State University, and he is pursuing his PhD under Dr. Hui Ping. And this is from his research point of view. We invited him for giving this talk. And one more thing I want to say this. I don't know how many of you know him personally, because our alumni have very good even social servicing skills at that time. And he's also founder and joint secretary of Human Helping Hands. And he is continuing still. And his web pages, if you see, he has got pretty nice work that is being done in the area of CFD. And I want him to give his input on what sort of skill sets he has secured and what kind of skill set is needed in the today's scenario. So I have invited him for this first talk, because first talk I wanted someone special, someone closely connected to, I could think none other than Sai Chaitanya. So I welcome Sai Chaitanya. So I hand over this to you, and I want you to share your screen. So let me, I think you can share your screen right now.
Okay. Oh, 1 second, I'm gonna. It says host disable participant screen sharing. Okay.
Dr. Varun, shall I
Yes,
off
sir.
my video to save the bandwidth or anything?
Yes, sir.
Right. Okay.
Is my screen like? Can you see my screen?
Yes, yes, Chaitanya, we all can see your screen. If anyone is difficult, please. I think,
Right.
yeah.
Thank you so much for the invitation. Thank you, Varun sir, Sandeep sir, HOD sir, and all the organizers for extending the invitation to me and to share my experiences. And I would also like to thank all the audiences to join on a Sunday morning. So I'll start off with my presentation. I want to talk about some skills, like as Varun sir was telling, which I developed and which I found to be really important in my journey from BTech to Masters and then PhD. I'll briefly go through this because Varun sir gave an excellent introduction. And the only thing I wanted to specify was the specializations. Like in my master's, my specialization was in fluid mechanics and a part of computational math sciences, which is like CFD. Then in my PhD, my specialization is completely into computational fluid dynamics. So before I start off with the technical details, in general, like whenever I see presentations, I often connect to those presentations which are told like a story. So I tried my level best to design my presentation like a story. So that story starts with my undergraduate life. So that is, I named my first and second year as phase one of that story. And why do we generally join engineering? For that matter, any department, the first question we have is, why is it needed? Like, why do we join? So the first one, like for me, it was like for example, I used to observe cars. Now they go to a traffic signal when there's red, you apply brake, they stop. When it's green, it goes. So I know that a car can do that, but what I don't know is what are the ideas which came together to make a car function like that. So I wanted to learn all these the concepts behind what I'm seeing like every day around me. That's why I picked mechanical engineering. I think in a similar way, all of you would have had some observation or some kind of thinking why you wanted to pick this field or why you have interest in this. The next question would be, what is like for in the starting stages, we see something, but we want to learn what's happening behind the technical understanding. So that is like the kind of a bridge which undergraduate provides. Then how is it done? It's done with the help of foundational courses like mechanics of solid, thermodynamics, fluid mechanics, which I'm sure all of you have seen or you'll be seeing in the future. And also the labs associated with them, the projects, all the experience and knowledge which professors share with it. So all these are going to form a reason how we are going to basically build that bridge. Now the question comes: what are the skills which are important, and which ones are more important than the other, and which ones would be important in the future? So I prepared a small bar chart. The first column is on technical. The second ones are like soft or transferable skills, and the third one is like general qualities. So in the first one, like at any stage in academics or education, having a good subject knowledge always forms the most important skill or knowledge set we need. And apart from that, we also need experimental knowledge. One way of getting this is we have a lot of labs which are linked to the courses so that we understand how we can apply the theory. Apart from that, like let's say in a course we learn about two materials and we learn one is stronger than the other. Then if you go out and you see a building around you built with the stronger material, then no, that's a connection. Like, okay, I learned this in my class and I can actually see it happening in real world. So these kind of knowledge, which is practical, experimental, what they do is they add a very good perception to the theoretical knowledge we learn in class. And it's this perception which will make you apply it in whichever way you want. And it'll basically, make it like if there are a lot of big theories and equations, it's hard to remember them. But if you know where and why are you learning them, I'm pretty sure you'll easily remember them. So that is the perception I was talking about. Then another important technical skill, which often people, including me, didn't consider it relatively important in the starting phase of undergrad, but then realized later on that I should have learned it, was design and drafting packages. It could be any package you pick, like AutoCAD, SolidWorks, ProE, MATLAB, it's up to you. But why are they important is, again, I'd like to give an example for that. Let's say you're making a cake, a vanilla cake. Now, first, like there are two, you make it in two ways. First way, you add vanilla in the starting stage and then you make the cake and then cake is done. Second stage, second way is you make the cake at the end, you melt and add vanilla and then the cake is done. If you ask me which one would you prefer to eat, I would pick the first one. Why? Because different ingredients of the cake were mixed at the start, and that gave a perception to the cake that it needs to be blended well and become what we really want. So learning these softwares in the initial stage, like how experimental knowledge can add perception to your theoretical study, even these softwares will add a perception to your study. Now, let's say you go into industry after your undergrad, or you go for higher education or academic or anything you chose to take after this. These tools at one point or the other will be useful. So I would highly recommend, like, especially in times like this when we have time at home, there are many available, YouTube videos and lot of other online help where we can see and learn these softwares easily. So I would highly recommend doing that. Now, coming to the second set of skills, one skill is communication. Now, like let's say professor is teaching something in class, you want to share something or you have a question. Most of the time, what happens is we are more or less kind of scared to ask it because of probably fear of performance, or it could be maybe you think your doubt is not really worth asking. Could have many reasons, but that is not a really good way when you're trying to learn something. If you have a question, if you like sharing something that could be useful to your colleagues, you have to share it. So this communication between professor and student, then from student to student, and from like a industry colleague to you or your boss, basically it's going to play a very important role in deciding how people look at you. Like this can actually tell how knowledgeable or how interested you are in order to learn something. Then the second skill is presentation. This is also often a skill which is not given that much of importance in the start. But now let's say I did a project which has A, B, and C. Now, if I say, often even I think even I did that mistake in my start where I thought, putting lot of math, lot of information in given slide will make it look cool. But I then realized that that's actually doing the opposite. Like what people will be like, if I start presenting in that way, after 2 minutes, they will be like, what is this guy talking? I'm completely lost. This is too much information to understand. I'm not understanding why was this done. So with these questions in mind, your viewers are always going to be lost. But instead, if you say like, I saw something, I went back to my class, then in my theory, I basically understood that I know A. Then I went to my professor or guide, and then they told me like you can use this, and that led to B. And then after using B, I tried to connect it to real life. That became C. So if I present and wherever required, if I give technical details, if you present something like this, then your viewers will understand and appreciate it. So presentation skills are really very important. Then comes public relations. Now, I think a good proportion of mechanical students, like either their parents, their cousins, their friends, someone would be in mechanical engineering. That's one of a stronger reason to develop interest in mechanical. Now, when you get time, just talk to them. Like ask them, what do you think about the current market? Or what is happening around you? I've learned this. How do you think I can use it anywhere? Now, these kind of public relations, when you build, you actually understand what is the purpose of all the things you're learning. There was one good question which Sandeep sir was pointing out that institutions we give the knowledge when they go into real world, it kind of gets different. Now, that is the case not only in India, I think it's the case all over the world. But the thing is, if you ask these questions and you're constantly in connection with the real world, then you will know what to expect. So even without you knowing it, you'll actually start preparing your mind to have a smoother transition from a education kind of a life to job or higher education kind of a life. And the last two ones are like needed for literally for anything you do in your life, like curiosity and persistence. There's this one famous dialogue from a movie. I think it's from Ranbir Kapoor. Probably "Hey Jawani Hai Diwani." He says like, if upon asked what do you want to do in life, he says, "I want to run. I want to feel success, failure. I want to experience pain, joy. But what I don't want to do is stop." That is very very true. Even applied to engineering. You're supposed to experience everything, never be scared of anything, but never stop doing it. So continuing with my presentation, now going to the second phase in third and fourth year, now we learn a lot of fundamentals in the first 2 years. Building on those fundamentals is what I've seen happened in this, which will happen in the last 2 years of undergrad. So why is it needed? Again, uh, I can see a lot of red color lines. I'm not sure if it's visible to everyone.
Chaitanya, you have host now, so I think annotations that is you can disable, or you can go back and then come. Then it may be disabled.
Oh, you want me to stop share and then share it again?
Sharing, you can come.
Dr. Varun, can't,
I made Chaitanya as a host, so I cannot control it from here. Chaitanya, you can probably.
Okay, let me try this. I'll just stop sharing and I'll try sharing it again and see if it works.
Better. And I request whoever is doing, please don't use that annotations through mobile or whatever you are trying to play. Please, this is not the place to do that. If you have any questions, please type your questions in the chat. We will get back.
And also, if you think it's an important question, you can always interrupt me during my talk and you can always ask me. I would be happy to answer it too in that way.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
So continuing with it, again, like why do we need such a deep knowledge? It's because you need to have your core theory and fundamentals strong in order to apply it anywhere. And also these 2 years, you learn courses and you'll actually develop an interest in, like in undergraduate, we learn different concepts. Like we learn design of machines, we learn production, we learn fluid mechanics, refrigeration, and a lot more. So there will be a few topics, like for me, it was fluid mechanics, but for someone, it could be design of machines, it could be production. So you develop that interest in these 2 years. And that will help you pick your education or job. And and it also helps you convert your theoretical knowledge to practical applications. How again, like any of these, till you're in academics, all of these things can be achieved by attending the courses and learning a lot from them in whatever possible way, and then doing projects. Because if you keep learning theory, you tend to forget it, but if you apply it somewhere, you'll remember it. So that's where projects, internships, labs, all of this come into picture. Now, some important skills I found, or which people could experience them, was definitely subject knowledge and experimental knowledge. They keep increasing. Now, there's some new column which got added in the technical part, which is the research. When you know a lot, when you go through this deep knowledge experience, you actually understand what you like and where do you want to apply it. Could be in industry, could be higher education, PhD, all start from that very point. And then again, communication and presentation are the most important soft skills you need in any field you go. And public relations. Like I'll tell you one scenario in USA where most of my friends, they also try to connect to people. Like if they know, okay, like he's an alumni of the same university, let me connect to him on LinkedIn and then see like what does he think about this opportunity, and if he can recommend me or if he can find a good opportunity for me. So in this, and even companies prefer them because generally if a person working in the company recommends another person, it's reliable, right? Most of the time. So that's when companies prefer it. So these building public relations is again a very important thing. Then for the soft skills, like as you keep building knowledge, you get confidence. And once you get confidence, you try to do something new, and that again helps you build new knowledge. So it's like a cycle. And this cycle should keep on like spinning or going throughout the academics or if you like anything you select in the future, like job, PhD, etc. Now, coming to my master's, before I talk about what I learned from my master's, I would like to show a small video about one of the projects I did in master's. So that, it's like, it doesn't feel like I'm just talking, but I'm not really like, showing anything where I applied it. This is a very simple example. Like, consider a swimming pool. A swimming pool generally starts, let's say, at 3 feet, and let's say it goes to 6 feet. So that's like an inclined plane where there's water and there is air flowing on water. Assume this water is just coming down because of gravity. Now, what I do is I take a plate, I take like multiple plates and I leave them in water. And when the water is trying to flow down, I want to see how stable are these plates. Like, how are they floating? Are they going and, hitting each other? Or they going in a stable manner? So this was my research in my master's. And I'd like to show a small video of one of our simulations. So the red color represents water and the blue color represents air. So this was like one of the part of the research. Now we know that if you leave, like when we were small too, when there's rain or something, we try to make boats and leave them in water, and they just go with the water flow, right? So we've seen this, and we know that water has the capability to take something which is kept on it, which is like light enough to float, to take it along with it. So understanding the fluids and trying to pick up a software and then trying to implement it, like these things actually help you understand the theory better. So in my master's life, like the main reason why I wanted to do masters was, in the last 2 years I developed a lot of interest in fluid mechanics. It could be the courses, labs, then also the projects. Even my undergrad project was also in fluid mechanics. It was in aeronautical engineering. So after this I wanted to learn more. Like I want to know, like I want to because in undergrad you learn a lot of courses, so often you don't get that much of an opportunity to specialize in one particular course. That is why I wanted to take masters. And why do I want to go abroad is, I wanted to learn a different perspective of understanding. Like like anything can be done in multiple ways. I wanted to see a different way in order to see whether I am able to understand, or I wanted to really it was more like an excitement to really learn something very new and very different of something which I already know. And masters will help you in building in-depth knowledge in the field you pick. For me it's fluid mechanics, but for someone it could again be design, refrigeration, thermal, you name it, you have it. Then again it gives a different perspective of understanding the concept. And also another interesting transition from India to USA was the way in which the courses were taught. Like in India we focus a lot on examinations, but here there were some courses where there was like no examination at all. They give assignments regularly, projects regularly, and then they grade on that. So that kind of a transition, like, help me learn, like will help you learn subjects in a different way. And you can see, like, there were some things which I learned really well when I was in India. There are some things which I learned really well when I'm in USA. So this kind of different perceptions to one topic will help you, widen your knowledge scope. And in no way I'm recommending people have to take up masters in USA or anywhere. Whichever field you take up, always, remember that it's very important to have different perceptions to things. Then again, what was it bridging? Like basic applications that I learned from courses and projects. And when I do specialized courses, my scope of applying that very particular concept will widen up, right? So that's what happened in masters. Then also my masters, I was able to use the theoretical knowledge to apply to research, and that pretty much led to my PhD. And how we do that? Again, with the help of courses and projects. Now, skill sets. Again, subject knowledge and experimental knowledge are really helpful. But here, one interesting thing is like the software knowledge became relatively important to subject knowledge, because continuing to know a lot of subject and not applying it anywhere is not going to take you anywhere, because ultimately the point is, okay, I have a degree in mechanical engineering, but what am I doing with it? Am I applying it somewhere in the outside world? Am I helping something? Like, for example, am I helping a medical person, like medical industry, build something that can help, uh, have a person structure properly, or help blood flow very smoothly in your heart? Or am I helping people designing cars, aerospace industry? So in this way, till you don't apply that theory knowledge in practical, it's not going to add value to your degree. And how do you do that? One way of doing it is doing a lot of experiments. And another way of doing it is, which is becoming very popular since a couple of decades, is using software packages like ANSYS, AutoCAD, or writing codes in Fortran, C, C++, and then trying to come up with an output that you can connect to real world. And again, with time, your communication, presentation, public relation skills will improve. And in fact, they're supposed to improve. That is a good sign that you are going forward with life. Then teamwork. Now, teamwork is something which is really important. We actually see teamwork everywhere, right? Like as simple as, if let's say your parents ask you and your sibling to probably plan a trip, or clean the house, then you coordinate and do, right? That is teamwork. It starts from such simple things. It goes to very big things, like starting a company, or in your job you're working along with your colleague on a project. In your academics, you're working along with your professor or advisor. So teamwork is really important, because I've seen many cases where my friends, because they couldn't do well within the team, they had to leave the team, or they were very unsatisfied and they couldn't get the output or productivity they desired. So all your efforts will go waste if you don't really develop the teamwork skills. And then after going through so much experience and then learning a lot of things, my curiosity, just went way out of the charts. I think it's probably going even exceeding my subject knowledge. But that is a good thing. Being curious is one thing which will drive you forward all the time. And again, persistence. You have to be persistent throughout your life to reach somewhere. And confidence. As you keep getting more knowledge, you keep getting more confidence. No, what confidence does is, it will remove the fear from you to try something new or to learn something new. And that will improve your knowledge base, again, improve your confidence. So these skills, like, you cannot directly see their impact on your, let's say, your professional career or personal career. But these things, when kept in mind, they are going to build a character. It's like you cannot change a situation in overnight, right? You have to, it's a process. So these things help you build the process and see to it that you're on the right path in the process. And now I would like to talk a little bit about my PhD. So the concept was like when we see the ship or the turbine blade rotating in water, we can see that the flow around the ship is turbulent. Now, let's say all of us are going on a vacation, like we choose to go on a vacation after the lockdown, from India to Malaysia. Now, we are all on that ship. Now, for some reason, the ship was running 6 to 7 hours late. Now, if there's a possibility you can cover up that time, what do? We request the ship crew to go faster, right? So when we do that, the flow around the ship is already, very turbulent. Like it just starts rotating, it goes up and down. So, and now that ship, if you try to accelerate it from already being a turbulent flow, if it goes to a new, different kind of a flow, how would it react? This was the idea behind my PhD research. And what I did was, no, most of the things we see, like if you touch a surface, we the ideal way is it is smooth, but when you try to feel it, you can feel a texture like something rough. So my idea focus point was, if I take a rough surface, like try to observe nature and pick 1 or 2 rough surfaces, model them, and see what happens to the flow. Will the flow be different on different surfaces? Because this research is important. Where could it be applied? Like all these ship surfaces and all the turbine blade surfaces, they have wear and tear. They kind of break down. The surfaces corrode. Why? Because of the water flow around them or air flow. It could be any fluid. So that is the ultimate application. Now, these graphs are very specific, but if you see, the red color one is for one surface, the blue color one is for other surface. What is interesting is you take velocity or you take anything we know like velocity, pressure, all these are different if the surface is changed. So that was like a really, interesting point. Now, this took a lot of time to come to here. Like you have to be persistent. You have to be confident in what you're trying to do. You have to talk to people, read a lot what's happening around you. So all these soft skills which I was talking about really helped me to reach to a certain stage. I'm sure if you chose to go into industry, these soft skills will help you grow from starting position to a very high position and learn a lot more. Now, what was different in PhD? I'll quickly go through these. Why is it needed? Was I wanted to find something new because in my masters I learned a lot about fluid mechanics. Now, in fluid mechanics, there are further specializations. Like you can have laminar flow, turbulent flow, which we see in labs. Then we can have design of aerospace structures or design of cars. I chose my interest to be turbulent flows. And then what happened in my masters was after doing a lot of projects, I got a lot of project oriented knowledge, skills like how do you apply theory, what softwares will be good. And also with the software, it's another thing I've seen people do is learn multiple softwares of the same kind. But if you ask my suggestion, learn one software because the algorithm, like the way a software works, if let's say you learn SolidWorks, but you're applying CATIA in future, the transition I don't think will be that difficult. But if you focus on one software and learn it thoroughly, that's going to be more useful than learning multiple software. And trust me, even on resumes, knowing one software and trying to use that and make projects is going to add more value than writing multiple softwares and not adding any projects or any application. Then how do we do it? What happened till now is I learned courses and I used projects to support it and remember what I learned. But in PhD, my main focus was on research and projects, and I used courses to support that research and projects. So that is the transition that happens as you keep going higher in education. like these are some specific softwares like turbulent modeling and all, but these change, but the core idea is this is the transition. And then I learned a lot. Literature survey, like I highly recommend, considering literature survey or taking it very important in your, especially in the third and fourth year of undergrad, because that's when you start doing your mini and major projects. So reading a lot of literature and then understanding what's happening around you is the best way, or it should be the starting stage to come up with an idea for your project. It shouldn't be like you pick an idea and then you try to find application. I think if you find the application, then pick the idea, I think that would be a really interesting, like a really effective way to, do projects. And then for the skills in PhD, like apart from the subject and experimental skills, there are also a lot of software packages that could be useful. And most important is research, because the tool, if you want to pursue higher education in life, research will become a very integral knowledge set which you will be using and needing constantly. Now, how do we research? Like, some ways of researching is basically reading a lot of journal papers. You can research by seeing, like, Google articles, or there are some, very good documentaries and channels which were done by, I think, National Geography and Discovery both, like, Discover Science, or I forgot its name. I think it's called something Factory, where they basically show you, like, for example, they show you they want to build a bridge on a sea. Now, there is a very weak foundation on a sea. And what are the other problems which you occur while building a bridge on a sea? So they show you from what they want to do to what they studied, what they tried to do, and how they came up with a product which can be useful. So watching these kind of documentaries and reading a lot of online journals is going to really be helpful in research. And again, communication, presentation are really, really important. I know I'm repeating it, but trust me, I've learned it from my experience. Pay a lot of attention, wherever you get a chance to, go give presentations, or, try to communicate your ideas and all. Please take that opportunity. Trust me, it's going to help you a lot in future. And then, with a lot of knowledge, like the one good thing about, higher education is you will never be short of curiosity. It's always going to keep increasing, and that is what will drive you forward. And the other quality is persistence and confidence. So these are generally the skills which I observed and which I learned in my path from undergraduate to PhD. Like it could be like, like in future when someone talks about how the transition was from education life to a job life, there will be many more new skills which will come up like this. But whatever it is, the soft skills and subject knowledge are something which my belief is they will be common in any field. And now I would like to answer like few basic questions. Like before that, I'll just thank you for the opportunity. These are like, this is my website. You can go into it and you can see what I've been doing, and I'll keep updating it with my current work. And you can always come in touch with me on LinkedIn or, Gmail. And so there were some questions which Varun sir was showing me, like which were the expectations from this. So a couple of them were like, what am I supposed to do, like, to build a good profile for my higher education? It's like the most important thing you need to build for higher education is in what field do you want to do and why do you want to do it? And and for admissions point of view, if you probably can, like a GRE, TOEFL, I'm not saying they're not important, they are important, but what is equally important is your technical, explanation why you want to do that. Like for example, like when I was applying to universities, I used my projects which I did in my undergrad saying that after doing these projects, I developed a lot of interest in fluid mechanics, and that's why I want to learn more about it. And that's why I'm applying to these universities, because when I went through the university page or profile, I saw there were a lot of good courses and a lot of interesting things happening in this field. So, like this, you have to basically build, like, the first 2 years, I understand you're building your fundamentals, but the next 2 years, you have to work a little harder in order to, build what is your field of interest, what is your vision, and what do you want to do. Now, I even talked with some of my friends so that I could share some information about how the job sector is. When I asked that person, if I say mechanical engineering and if I say jobs, what comes in your mind? He says the two things which come in my mind is automobile sector and service jobs. So, and what all skills you need for that? You need to have good fundamentals of, like the courses you have in undergrad, like designs, fluids. Then you need to have a strong software background or experimental background. So that is the reason why I try to put those skill sets there in order for, for you to, understand. Now, even though after learning all this, it will be a little harder transition from, education life to a job life. But that transition, you can smoothen it, and you can use that transition to your advantage if you try to, build on these skills which I was talking about. And I cannot recollect all the questions, but I think I'll leave the Zoom to open discussion, where if any of you have any particular questions, you can always ask me and I'll be happy to answer them. Or if you have any feedback or reviews you want to share, I would be happy to take them too. Thank you.
Yeah, Chaitanya, this is Wasim sir. You remember?
Hello, sir. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good, sir.
Sorry, I was a bit late to join, so that I could not have a conversation at the start.
Oh, no problem. Scope of any course relating to environmental subjects. I am not really aware of the job sector in India, but if you're talking about sustainable environmental energies, then yes, it has a huge scope both in Europe and USA. And I think even in India, being a tropical country, it's always going to be in scope. And apart from that, I've also seen people like work and do research in on climate change. Like for example, when we get a huge storm, they do the data, like they try to find data fit curves and see if they can predict it. So climate change is one. Then there could be some very interesting stuff that's happening in earth sciences, like under the earth, like or under the ocean, how like when the plate, the tectonic plates move, how does it affect the surface, or how does an earthquake affect the life around it? Can you predict it, or can you reduce its magnitude? So there's a lot of research happening related to this, and environmental engineering can also be applied in building structures and other things too. Like for example, if you see where it snows a lot, the houses have a conical structure like instead of a flat structure. So these all are application of our knowledge to design buildings in environments. So I'm sure there will be a lot of research there.
Chaitanya, you have one more question. The first question asked by the student was regarding literature survey. Could you please look into it?
Oh yeah, I can see. So could you please explain about literature survey more and an example for it? Okay. For example, let's say my master project where I designed like an inclined plane where I'm leaving a plate. Now the question is, why did I come up with the idea like that? Like it looks, if I just did that project, it looks like too good to be true. That why why did you do something that specific? Like why not something else? That's because when I was reading, I read about this interesting article on irrigation, which my professor shared with, like my advisor shared with me. Like if you have, you have, if you let's say if you have artificial irrigation and you have like let's say like a 4 vertical layers. Now every layer has plants on it. once the plant is harvested, you want to shift it down. It is shifted down using water and gravity, because when you have gravity driving something, why do you need extra energy to, artificially get it down? So how can we effectively use this gravity? Now that is a very interesting idea. Then I started reading into journal papers. Like for journal papers, you even our library has a very good database. Then you can go into Google Scholar and then you can search for the papers there and see, did anyone actually work on this idea? If yes, what did they do? Like how did they try to set it up? Because it looks like an idea, but what am I supposed to do? How to, because I cannot completely design the system. It's too complicated. I have to make something simple out of it and then but still give the idea about what it want to convey. So these all things you learn, or for example, what software I want to use, or what package or what tool will help me. If you read all journal papers, talk to your advisors or talk to people, then you'll understand like, okay, these all things were done and these could be useful. So you can use that as foundation, start building on it and try to do something new so that you can get something very effective finally. So that's what I meant by literature survey. Okay, this is an interesting question. Like, I've actually done a course from University of Arizona. I've heard that university is known for making telescopes and research in astronomy. Would like to hear some words on aeronautics and aerospace in this industry university. I'm not from University of Arizona, but in general, like that and Arizona State University, like they have like specific a special like research labs designated for aerospace and aeronautical research. Like in one of my courses, the math professor, he basically used softwares to design how a star is formed in space. It looks like very fascinating and very nice, but there is a lot of knowledge and lot of application and time you need to spend on it. In general, like in the courses I've seen a lot of courses on like aerospace structures, like how you can design structures effectively to withhold weight but maintain minimum weight. Then there are some good research in fluid mechanics on aerospace, like like wings. Like if you have a wing, how can you increase its lift or drag? Then I've seen a lot of aeronautical research, which in fact in Arizona State University there is like the space shuttle or like the what do you call the robot which they sent onto Mars to identify its surface called Curiosity. A part of that research was actually like a part of the group from Arizona State helped in that research. And in fact, some they share screens where we can monitor what that robot is actually seeing there. So like this, many universities here actually work a lot. That's a good thing about universities in like, higher universities like in, in India, like IITs or in USA or in Europe. When you go to these places, your scope just widens up a lot. Like in undergrad, if you ask, people will be like, I'm doing mechanical, I'm doing computer science. But you go higher, like I have friends who are studying, nuclear physics. They're studying astronomical science. Then they're studying an application of mechanical and biomedical energy. These things come up when you try to do specialization. So, like, there is a lot of scope for a lot of research, and mechanical being a core subject, it's going to hold a lot of weightage in almost all of these resources. And production engineering, I am afraid that I cannot answer that question effectively because I frankly haven't taken any course in production engineering. But I do know that there are some advanced courses like linear, like like additive manufacturing, which is a very upcoming tool where you use 3D machines, printers to manufacture your prototypes. That is one field which is a lot in demand. And then like CNC and other machines to enhance production is one field which I think is in demand. But I need to talk to my friends who've done course in that and get back to you on that. What percentage of graduating students find jobs in their career field within 3 to 6 months? Did your MS in thesis based or course based master? Okay, to the second question, my master's was thesis based because in my second year of masters, I decided to pursue further research. So that's why all the courses I took and the thesis I opted was research based. But in masters, you can always graduate with three options. One is thesis, other one is taking extra courses, and or you can always do an applied project. Like you can just go talk to a professor and form a committee, like your professor and some other professor who can guide you in the project, like how you do your major project in BVRIT. So that you can always do an applied project and come out. Often people who want to go into job industry take the field of applied project and also extra courses. And let me go forward and okay, I think these were all the general questions, which I think. And also, I've got to know from my friends that because a lot of production, like many industries are willing to open production plants and R&D in India, like Renault Nissan, like a friend of mine works in Renault Nissan, I think in uh, Tamil Nadu. And I had a friend who worked in Ashok Leyland, and even TCS, I think, is probably is taking up projects with. I'm not really sure, but like I read or I heard somewhere that they're taking up projects with different automobile companies. So even in India, in job sector, I think the core jobs and the research is improving and it's increasing rapidly. So that's a very good sign, and that will really help like do build your career in a very effective and in a very liking manner.
Yes, sir.
Did you yes sir, yes sir.
Yeah, sorry. Actually, here one question would be like regarding academic excellences, they'll be looking into hobbies and other activities in our profile. Does it affect the admissions? So that was the one question asked by one student. Can you see
Yeah,
that?
I may have overpassed it, so I'm sorry for that, but yeah, so it's like see, the admission process, it's very complicated. It's because like it's not an easy thing to get a lot of profiles and then weight one on the other. But let's say if you have two people where one your profile is similar, education is similar, projects are similar, everything is similar, but you did something else, like you attended some workshops which can help you in your presentation skills, or you attended workshops like social service. Now, what these things tell you is these things tell what kind of a character you have. So, if a person has the right character and attitude, then there is like even sky is not the limit. You just you can go wherever you want and you can achieve whatever you like. So all these extra things are definitely going to help your profile in general. So I mean, it's a very general answer, but it's going to, even if it doesn't help, even if it helps in admission or not, it's going to help you build like a good attitude towards seeing things. So it's definitely going to help anyone trying to go for higher education or even job for that matter. Oh yeah, see, Professor like HOD sir just said, Tata Elxsi is into projects and automobiles. So that's an example. There are many companies which are working on it. For this question, who write research papers? No, it's generally like if you are very interested in research and if you have done well with the basic courses, and if you find an advisor, you can do a research in masters, and your output of your research could be publishing papers. And in fact, and then see, publishing paper is something which it's like sharing your research to the world, not just because it's like a self satisfaction or a self goal thing, but it's also like people can understand, share, like it's like when you go into the world, it's like a common pool, it's like a common family where your research can help someone, their research can help you, and that's how the research world is built, and that's how the world moves forward. So research papers are good. They like at least from my thesis, they weren't like a very deciding role in me getting a thesis. Yes, there are universities which offer masters online. In fact, most of the universities are trying to move towards online based platforms because they can increase their scope or increase the scope. But it would be a really good experience, because if you cannot be in that present point, in fact, even not as high as masters, but there are pretty good websites like Coursera, edx.org. You can a lot of courses which are offered in different universities like IITs, MIT, Stanford, Oxford universities, Imperial College of London. They all these courses, all the good university courses are available there, and most of them, if you want to just learn from the course, they're free. So in these times where we have a lot of time at home, I would highly recommend taking those courses, and some of those courses are really fun. In fact, even I am every day doing such courses. Do you need any prerequisite? No. For applying for when you apply for masters, you do not apply for masters on thesis based or project based. You just at university. This is something you select in your more or less in your second year of your masters. So you have time till then to decide. Thank you, Manzoor Reddy, for it was a good experience even for me to share and come in contact with all of you.
Chaitanya, thank you. After a long time, we are able to see you.
Yes, even Varun sir keeps telling that a lot of alumni meets, but the unfortunate part is whenever the meet happens, either I'm in USA or I'm coming to India a week after that meet. Yes. So I always miss the opportunity, but yes, this was really a good opportunity to interact with everyone.
Very good, very good. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much for guiding. Actually, it was very helpful session to all the students, in fact. Okay, and some of the things we also got to know. Yeah, this session. Thank you.
I am really glad that I could be of help, and I was if anyone has any specific questions, they can always come in touch with me on LinkedIn, or you have my email ID, so you can ask me questions. And thank you so much for giving me this opportunity to share my thoughts. And I do understand that I was very general for some questions, but it's I'm really happy you gave this opportunity was offered to me. Thank you.
Yeah,
thank you.
There are some more questions that are asking, but I'll keep for the sake of time. And may I request our HOD sir to say a few words, closing points?
Yeah. So thank you, Sai Chaitanya, and thank you, Varun and Sandeep, for arranging, and especially has told certain aspects for the students to learn some software skills as vanilla that Essence edition during the preparation itself. That will make their the cake better. So therefore, the students should grasp that and learn parallelly some additional skills. Now that due to COVID and other things, we have excellent opportunity to think in the direction, and many agencies have come forward to offer their free courses to enhance their skills. Even some of the third year students, they have expressed that they want to participate and learn some courses. It's a good sign. So we wish that they pursue in those direction and add value to their career, and some additional skills as a top up on the say pizza top up. So pizza is the base what we are teaching, and top up is what they add certain ingredients to make their flavor different. So thank you, Chaitanya, for giving that essence, and what a student has to focus and plan, how he can plan his career in research or for industry and other things. Thank you very much. Yeah, that's it. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir.
Yeah, Varun.
Yeah,
Please.
Kenya, it was, I could see the transformation that took place in you in the presentations. We have seen your presentations in the BTech and now in the PhD level. So the way you are giving examples, the way you are narrating a story and then trying to reach out, yes, fantastic. And exactly it fits. Actually, what we have planned, your presentation exactly fits into the concept. And I'm very happy that I could choose your presentation as the first one, and let's hope that we'll continue this trend. And I'm also once again thanking you, because I know you are in your busy schedule and you are especially in this lockdown times. Even we are getting huge workload from the guides or from the department. So I think probably you must be facing the similar troublesome situation. But thank you for giving this wonderful presentation, and I'll keep note of the questions and I'll let students be made available. And if anything is there, I open the, I want to convey this to the students as well. So he is always available and mostly actively participating in LinkedIn. So you can all be connected through LinkedIn and other social platforms. And any kind of CFD related questions also, he is very good in answering, and he is being tutored. So I think he'll be able to bring it very down to you undergraduates. I think that is something which is his quality now. And I thank all the people from various places who have joined. And if possible, can I have Shiva sir from Vedic to have a few words? Shiva Kumar Krishnan sir from Vedic.
Hello, Dr. Varun. It was
Hello, sir.
wonderful. Thank you. Hello, it was wonderful to see the presentation. I hope I mean the video quality may not be good, so I'm going to just knock the video out. But I really like the way Sai Chaitanya presented it in terms of, the confidence. Gaining confidence is important. If I saw his presentation, the slide that he showed the skill sets, all the way down was confidence. And I mean, that's really important, right? Like we learn from our own experience that I can do something.
Right.
When I learned from my own experience that I can do something, then I gain confidence. And I think that's the key thing that I was reminded of when he presented. Very nice presentation again.
Thank you so much.
And also the importance of literature survey, right? Yeah. And also the importance of literature survey. I think that was really on the dot. I really like the way you placed importance on these two elements, and nice presentation in terms of applications also. Thank you. Thank you very much, Sajid.
Thank
That's all I want to say.
you.
Wonderful. Wonderful going, organizing everything. It was really good. And I hope more students can participate and sort of see how they can learn from these things. It need not be that they're interested in higher studies. There could be projects on how to apply the concept into practical side, projects. That is important for everybody at this current time, because we need to, as a student, need to be able to differentiate your. Thank you.
Hello. Hello. Hello.
Yeah, I am done. Thank you.
Okay. Okay. So once again, to convey that there is a feedback form that is being shared through our Zoom chat window, and you can fill that form by 12 p.m. today, so that you can receive a certificate of attendance on the same email ID that you share. And I once again thank our college management and faculty members, Department of Mechanical Engineering, all the students who have come here to listen to this session. It was first session, and we hope we'll have such wonderful sessions in the coming future. And I once again thank Chaitanya. Thank you for giving this wonderful talk. And let's hope that we get away with the maximum benefit, and then overcome this pandemic, and we utilize it effectively. Thank you all. So I'll be noting those. You can share the questions to me personally, also to my web WhatsApp. And I want to end the meeting now. If at all anyone has anything to say, Chaitanya. I think I am facing some issue here.
Asking the same question, so could you please?
Is it that we do?
Yeah.
Yes, definitely. Because, like how I was telling, like internship is one way to show that you can apply your theoretical knowledge in practice. So that is a skill which all the industries, even higher studies, universities look for. So if you have internships, that's going to add a lot to your profile. But make sure that you don't do the internships just for the sake of adding it to the profile. Do the internships for the sake of you learning something from it, because ultimately what is important is the internship knowledge should help build your knowledge in a better sense than just staying up on the profile on your resume and not adding anything to that after. But yes, internships are very useful.
Yeah, thank you, Chaitanya. I'm a student.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure.
Sandeep
Thank
sir,
you, Chaitanya. Yeah, Wasim sir.
Yeah, over to you. I thought.
Yeah, okay. Thank you, Chaitanya, for spending such a wonderful time with us. I hope students got all the required inputs from your end. And I wanted to add a bit more to it. So coming to research, or coming to industry purpose, industry things also, each and everything what we come across in our life is very much important. Right? We can't say that this particular thing will not be useful in our life, right? So whatever comes in our way, if we grab it with both our hands, it is much more helpful for us, right? Because throughout our journey for this many years, right, whatever we came across, right, somehow the other day it is coming back again, and we need to go back through that, right? So I hope that each and everyone shouldn't restrict themselves that no, only university will be looking into that or these things. You try to do whatever best you can, right, so that when the time comes up, you can show up your skills.
That's very true, sir. That's definitely true.
Yeah. So that is actually most important thing, because we can't judge on what parameters basically that what they'll be looking into. Because only we can give a glance of what things are going around us with our experiences only, but we don't know the opposite person how what his expectations will be. So the better thing is whatever comes in our way, just we have to go on, right, collecting that. So I hope
yes,
the
sir,
session
definitely
was helpful for each and every student. And with your inputs, with your feedbacks, we'll be making the other sessions, coming up sessions, in a much better way, right? So we can reach whatever inputs you need, or whatever skill sets you need for your future. And thank you, Chaitanya. So it's
Thank
you
you, sir.
guys who, it's you guys that who should build up now BVRIT. Right. So we hope
sir,
all of you are.
Like how I said, it's a cycle. Like all of you helped me build my career. Now, if I can be of a help to help people in some way, then it's just going to form a very good, very healthy cycle. So it's like it's my pleasure and honor to be a part of this, and it's a great initiative. I'm very much confident that you're only going to make it better and better, and it's going to be very helpful to all the students. Thank you so much again.
Varun and Sandeep. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Okay, everybody. Bye. Take care. Bye, Chaitanya. Have a nice day.
Bye. You too, sir. Bye. Stay safe.